Hi there. Welcome to Mike's Collection episode 380. I'm Mike, and the part of my collection that I'm going to be talking about today are my favorite action figures of the third quarter of 2025. So, for those of you who have seen these videos before, you know what to expect. Very quickly, here's the gist. I talk about a lot of toys on my YouTube channel over the course of the entire year. At the end of the year, like everybody else on here, I do like my best of the year. I usually do a top 20 action figures of the year. So, what I do every year is I look through all my action figures that I got that year and I pick out the top 20 through slowly eliminating the toys that wouldn't make the cut. And a couple of years ago, I decided, why don't I show you folks the elimination process? But it was way too time consuming and too long of a video to put all the toys I got over the course of a year all out on the desk together and eliminate them. So I started doing it quarterly. So we've already done the best of the first quarter of 2025, the best of the second quarter, and now it is October 1st. And yeah, the third quarter just wrapped up. I have got, I think, a little over 60 action figures this quarter. Um, and mind you, those are just action figures that were released in 2025. I got a bunch of other cool action figures in the past 3 months, but they were either figures that were released like last year. Sometimes I get action figures that are like 20 years old. Obviously, anything that wasn't released in 2025 cannot count for my best of 2025 list. So just stuff that I got in the past quarter that was released in 2025. So I think that pretty much tells you all you need to know. I've got all the figures laid out on my desk right in front of me here, and I am going to start eliminating them. So let's get to it. Okay, so here's a quick view of everything. So as I said, I think this is just a few more than 60 action figures. Now, you can see obviously which brands I prefer. There are lots of toy lines that I don't collect. There are some toy lines that I collect a little bit. And then, of course, there are the lines where I collect a lot. So you will see a lot of Transformers, a lot of G.I. Joe, a lot of Marvel Legends, some odds and ends like some Street Fighter figures. But yeah, you'll notice like even though I sometimes collect Ninja Turtles, there's no Ninja Turtles in here this quarter. There's very few Masters of the Universe this quarter. Sometimes there's a lot. And an interesting thing about this quarter is usually these videos start off. Um, I display these figures not really in any particular order, but I try and display the smallest figures up front just so that you can see them. And it just so happens that the small figures are usually the first ones to get eliminated because a lot of them are Super 7 reaction figures. You'll see if I pan over here, these are some of my reaction figures from Super 7. I have a whole lot of them. So yeah, I usually buy lots of reaction figures, but there is only one single reaction figure in the entire assortment here, and it is this Godzilla reaction figure, which I have previously received this figure in like a solid dark green. It's based on the old Aurora model kit, and this particular version is based on the glow in the dark Aurora model kit. So it's got the glow in the dark head, hands, feet. It's a cool little figure. I like this sculpt, but this is the third time Super 7 has released it. This is the first time it glows in the dark, which I think is neat. But reaction figures usually can't compete with these bigger, more detailed figures, and especially when it's a figure that I've already received twice before. So this Godzilla here is going to get eliminated. Now you'll also notice there is one Funko Pop in here. I don't buy a whole lot of Funko Pops these days, and some of you may argue that it doesn't even belong in here because it's not really an action figure, but whatever. I don't buy enough of them to do a separate Funko list or anything, so she gets lumped in here. But this is Tank Girl in her tank. Now, Funko Pops usually would not rank very high. They're cool. I like them. They're fun to look at, but again, they just don't really compete with these type of figures because they don't really have any articulation. They're not very detailed, all that sort of stuff. But Tank Girl is one of my absolute favorite properties, and there has never been a Tank Girl action figure. There has never been like any Tank Girl collectibles. So I've been wanting this for years, like decades, really. And they finally put this thing out as a San Diego Comic Con exclusive this year. Um, so yeah, I do love it. So yeah, it's gonna stick around. It's kind of an underdog just because it's Funko Pop, but at the same time, it's just so cool that I finally have a Tank Girl figure of any sort on my desk. Um, this dog, this is Order. On his own, even though he's a great little dog, he probably wouldn't stick around, but he is partnered with this G.I. Joe figure, Law, who I'll get to him eventually. So we'll leave the dog there for now. So that pretty much takes care of all the like small little figures because there really aren't many. We do have some smaller Transformers in the front here, so maybe we'll start with those. All right, so this is Bumper. Now I know he looks like Bumblebee, but he is not. Now this is a guy. He's got an interesting little backstory. I won't get into it here, but I was excited to get this figure. The problem is he came in a 4-pack with 3 other figures that I didn't really want. One of those figures being this Ultra Magnus. Now, I do like Ultra Magnus as a character, but I already have him in my collection, and this guy here I think is severely undersized. Ultra Magnus is usually a much bigger character. So I don't really have any use for this micro Ultra Magnus. So even though it's a nice little figure, it's nicely articulated, nice paint and all that stuff, he's gonna go. I don't think Bumper will make my best of the year. So even though he's the reason that I bought the 4-pack, he's mostly just reused parts from other characters, like Bumblebee, Cliff Jumper, all those other small little robots, little mini cars. So while he's cool, I'm glad I have him in my collection. He's not going to be a toy of the year, so we'll have to say goodbye to Bumper. This is another one of the figures that was included in the pack that I really have no attachment to. This is Horrible, I want to say. It might be Terrible. I'm pretty sure it's Horrible. But that's pretty bad. I can't even remember his name for sure. But that's because even though he's a character from the vintage line, and I do want to get modern updates of all the Transformers from the vintage line, so I guess I'm happy to have gotten him. I probably would have bought this figure if he was packaged, alone anyway. But he is kind of a dull figure. His color scheme is not particularly interesting. I don't like how that bull head from his alternate mode is just kind of stuck on the back of his head, like awkwardly like that. So anyway, yeah, this guy doesn't excite me very much. I have no nostalgic connection to the character, so he's gonna go too. Now this Sea Spray, this one has a better chance. I really like this figure. I think this is the best Sea Spray Hasbro's ever put out. Similarly, they did this like retro card Brawn. He's very cool. Although this guy, I think he can go. This is a nameless trooper. I think he's called Ground Soldier. He's based off of like the kind of cannon fodder that you play in the Transformers Devastation video game. He's like a retool or a repaint of the Runabout, Run Amok characters, who I like, but this guy here, because it's based on a figure I already have in my collection, and he's a no-name character, so there's no attachment to the character. So yeah, he's gonna go. I've got a couple aerial bots. I'm excited to get some aerial bots, so they might stick around. Although if I shimmy Monkey Wrench out of the way, this guy here is Carnivac. Actually, I might as well talk about both of these guys. They came in a 2-pack together. So this is Iron Fist or Physitron and Carnivac. These are both G1 characters, but they came kind of late in the G1 years, so I don't have any attachment to them really. I didn't have these guys when I was a kid. Now, I do really like Iron Fist from his appearance in the comic books, so normally I would have been super stoked to get a figure of this guy who I came to love through the comic books, but I already have a really nice third-party, like unofficial figure of him, so that made this one less essential. So anyway, happy to have them both, but they are not toys of the year, so I'm going to eliminate both of those guys. Okay, so let's now consider, I think, the only 3 Masters of the Universe figures that I have here this quarter. I do have another one in the mail right now, but it did not arrive before shooting this video. So I've got Frosta, Grizzlor, and Fangman. Frosta, she is from the She-Ra cartoon. I'm happy to get this figure, as this is her first time in this scale in the Origins line. But I already put the She-Ra forth in an earlier video from this year, so I don't think two of these cartoon collection Masters of the Universe She-Ra figures would advance. So I think She-Ra's got a better chance than Frosta. So even though it's a nice figure, it's going to go. Grizzlor, this is a fine figure. It looks like he did in the cartoon, but I prefer the non-cartoony version of Grizzlor with the actual real fur on the action figure. So yeah, this guy is fine, but he's not Toy of the Year. Fangman I actually really like. This guy was like kind of an obscure villain from the cartoon who did not make it into the vintage line, but they did previously release him in classics, and I really love that classics version. Um, so yeah, this guy's good. Really happy to get him, but I don't think he's Toy of the Year, so he's going to go too. So I can already tell this is going to start getting tough real quick because I did not have a whole bunch of little guys to eliminate right off the bat. There's a lot of good quality figures in here. So yeah, I just recently acquired this Silver Surfer figure. So this is the female Silver Surfer from the new movie, Fantastic Four: First Steps. Silver Surfer is one of my favorite Marvel characters. So I didn't necessarily love the fact that they switched out Norrin Rad for his girlfriend, Shalabel, but I thought she was actually pretty cool in the movie. I thought she looked good. This figure does a good job of capturing the look of that character, but it's a pretty basic figure, as you can tell. Like, she's just a naked silver girl, so there's not a whole lot of room for details or anything. She did come with a surfboard, of course, and some alternate hands and all that stuff. And she poses well. I really like the digital print on her face, but yeah, she's not going to be a Toy of the Year for me. Behind her is Madame Mask, which is also a very nice figure. It's my first time having a Madame Mask in my collection. Um, I don't know. I just don't have much of an attachment to this character, really. She's an Iron Man villain for the most part, and I didn't read a whole lot of Iron Man growing up, so I don't know. But this is a really nice figure, so maybe I'll skip on from her for a little while, let her hang around. Um, this Psylocke is really nice. Frag Viper, Televiper. This is the police officer, Cobra Commander. Lots of GI Joes in here. Oh, it's tough call, tough call. This is Spider Man based on the live action Spider Man show from the 70s. Not a super well known show, relatively short lived. Let's take a closer look at him. This is a fun figure. He looks like most other Spider Man figures, except really it's the eyes, the belt, the things on his wrist there that really make him recognizable as the TV Spider Man. But that show was before my time. I don't have much attachment to it, and I always prefer comic book versions over movie and TV versions. So this Spider Man is going to get eliminated. Okay, who else have we got? There's a lot of guys up front here that I'm not ready to eliminate, so I'm trying to kind of go back here. Like, this here is an X-Men character named Husk. So let me pull her out here for a second. So she was introduced in the comic series called Generation X. I remember when that comic book came out. I was not really a fan of any of the new characters that they introduced. Husk is one of the standouts a little bit because she's the sister of a character that I do like, Cannonball. But that alone doesn't make her interesting enough. I haven't read enough comic books to get attached to Husk, and her costume is pretty basic. So yeah, she's going to go. Who else do we have here? All right, I think I might have to start up front. So this Armored Cobra Commander, he's pretty cool. I really like this version of Cobra Commander. I think they did a good job with this. I don't know if it's my Toy of the Year like material. This cop, he's cool. He's a generic character. He doesn't have a name, but he came with a lot of accessories, including this like cool riot shield. He had like a riot helmet. He had an alternate head. He even came with a cup of coffee. It's a cool figure. I like it a lot, but I don't see it being my toy of the year. So I think he's going to go. However, that fireman back there, he's from the same kind of lines, the same idea. So he's just a generic fireman. Him, I really like. So he's got a chance to stick around. But what else here? I really like this Cobra Diver, this Televiper. This guy just recently came out on a retro card. I already had a Televiper in my collection. He's not one of my favorite Cobra Troopers. It's a nice figure, but he's not Toy of the Year, so I think I can get rid of him. And this one here, this is a Cobra Pilot. She's like a variation of the standard kind of Cobra blue shirt. She came with a glider, the Cobra Claw, and so that you think might give her a bit of a leg up because I do consider accessories, including vehicles, when I'm ranking these figures. But I never really liked the Cobra Claw all that much. I think it's kind of a bland vehicle, and this is kind of a bland figure. It's fine, but I already have this mold a couple of times over, a couple of other female Cobra Troopers. So yeah, I think she can go too. Okay, I just pulled a couple more Cobra Troopers out front to talk about. So this here is a repaint of the Alley Viper that we've already got twice over, except now they call him the Trench Viper. He's got this little riot shield that comes down over his face, and he carries this cool shield. It's a fine figure, but I liked it better as the Alley Viper. This repaint I find kind of boring, and he came with a bunker, which is cool, but I don't have a whole lot of use for it. I don't really have room to display it. So really all the bunker did was make this figure more expensive than I wanted him to be. So yeah, this figure, he's going to go. And Crystal Ball, so this is a unique character. He's kind of the Cobra Mystic. I really liked this guy when I was a kid. A lot of people hate Crystal Ball. He's like a bridge too far, especially for those G.I. Joe fans that really like the realistic military aspects. I like both. I like the realistic military, but I also like the fantasy elements. So yeah, Crystal Ball with his like hypno shield. Some people found him, just a little too much. I liked him, so I'm happy to get him in the classified line. But for me, I think it's that eye makeup. They added this eye makeup. No previous version of Crystal Ball has had that before, and it doesn't really work for me. So I kind of hope we get this guy again with more of a retro look. So yeah, both of these guys are going to be eliminated. Okay, I pulled a couple of Marvel Legends out here to talk about. So this here is Crossbones. So he came in a 2-pack that was exclusive to Amazon. He was packaged with Madame Mask over here. Of the two figures, I prefer Madame Mask. I probably would not have bought this Crossbones because I do have a Crossbones in my collection already. Even though this guy I think has better proportions than my other figure, I do like how the previous release had more of his super villain costume and a less militaristic look. So this is a good figure, but it's not one I really needed, so it's not going to be my figure of the year. So that can go. I was really excited for this Jean Grey figure because Jean has had so many costumes over the years. This is my favorite one because this is the look she had when she was in X Factor, right around the time I was getting into comic books for the first time. Um, but it's not a particularly amazing costume. It's just green tights with a yellow X. So it didn't really provide a lot of opportunity for Hasbro to sculpt really good details on it or anything like that. So this one is good, and I'm very happy to have gotten it. But another big miss on this figure is that they forgot to paint her boots yellow. Like her gloves there, all it would have taken was a little bit of paint, and they forgot to do it, and that really bothers me too. So yeah, she's also going to go. And speaking of sculpted detail, this Psylocke figure I was not planning on getting, but she came in a 2-pack with this Thanos over here, so I kind of got her by default. But this one really impressed me. Not only do I really like her face paint there and her sculpting and her articulation, but this is what I'm talking about with like designers really have a chance to kind of go the extra mile. So like with Jean Grey, her gloves, you know, it's just So, bring her back out here for a sec. It's just a line of paint. There's no sculpt for those gloves. Same as the boots. They didn't have to sculpt anything. They could have just painted a yellow line, and that would be sufficient. That's what I get on a lot of Marvel Legends figures. But with Psylocke, one of the things that's such an improvement over the previous version of this figure is these bands on her leg. I don't know if you can see, but those are sculpted. So those are raised from her leg. The previous version I have, there's just blue lines painted on her legs and on her arms. So I really appreciate that they added that extra sculpted detail. So this is a nice figure. I'm not ready to eliminate her yet. This thing, this is also from the Fantastic Four movie. It's really good too. That's a really good sculpt. The face sculpt is really nice. I love the Thing. Such a great character. Although I think I could probably let this one go only because I already have 2 or 3 Thing figures based on his comic book look, and I do prefer the comic book looks for pretty much any character. So while I think they did a really great job of capturing his look from the movie here, yeah, I have better Thing figures, so this guy can be eliminated. So who else do we have here? I still have all 3 Aerial Bots for consideration. Monkey Wrench, Brawn, and Sea Spray. This She-Hulk is really nice. It's a repaint though, so I don't know. This Batman is great. Sagat and Blanka from Street Fighter. I just got this Cobra Snake armor, which is really cool. Let's see, Blowtorch, Snake Eyes, Breaker. This Frag Viper is amazing. I love him. Oh, what do we got here? What do we got? I think I'm going to have to shimmy some stuff around so we can bring some people up front. All right, so Adam Warlock here. This is the best version of Adam Warlock Hasbro has ever produced. He's got his kind of iconic look from the 80s and 90s when he was featured in stories like the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity War. I just never liked this character very much. So when this figure came out, I initially passed on it, and I kind of hoped I would find it for like on sale later on. And it did take a couple of months, and I did find it for about $10 off. So I decided to grab it, but it's just not a character or a figure that I find particularly great. This is Nemesis Prime, so like an evil version of Optimus Prime. You get this big cool axe. So yeah, I don't really know all the backstory with Nemesis Prime here, and this particular version of him is based off of his animated look, which I don't really care for. I'm mostly interested in Generation 1 action figures, more like, these guys. So if they had, if this was a repaint of a Generation 1 Optimus Prime, it might have had a better chance of advancing, just because this animated look kind of kills it for me. But I don't really care about this character anyway. So yeah, the only reason I bought this is because he came in that 4-pack with Bumper and Ultra Magnus. So yeah, so he's going to go as well. And this Venom is actually awesome. It's very well done. It's an improvement in the articulation over previous Venom figures I have. He's got alternate hands. He's got an alternate head. He's blue, which is kind of the standout thing about this figure because he's based on his video game look in the Capcom versus Marvel games. The thing is, I just have so many Venoms, and I have so many good Venoms already. So this guy just doesn't really wow me because I just have so many great Venoms. So I didn't really need another great Venom. He is great, but yeah, he's going to go too. So the next figure that can go is this. This is a Transformers Seeker Jet. I love the Seeker Jets. My favorite Decepticon figure when I was a kid was Thrust, which was a maroon Seeker Jet. So yeah, every time they release a Seeker in another color scheme, I want it. So this guy here, I really like the color scheme, the gray, the black with the red. But this is a no-name trooper. He came in a 2-pack with that ground soldier, the little blue car I showed you earlier. So I only bought the pack really to get the Seeker Jet. So this is the figure I wanted. He looks great, but I have this exact figure multiple times in different color schemes, including Thrust, who I like much better. So Cool figure. I will continue to buy these no matter what color they put them out in. But it's this mold is just a couple of years old now, so it's not going to be my toy of the year for 2025. So he's going to go. So going back over here for a minute, I think I'm going to have to let Cobra Commander go. It's a good figure. My buddy Chad, who I sometimes have on my channel as a co-host, I know he was really excited about this figure, and this might even be one of his, it'll probably be on his top 10 list. But for me, I don't know. I think they maybe could have just went a little shinier chrome on him. I wish they gave us an unmasked head. So yeah, they just missed the mark a little bit on this guy, even though it is a pretty cool figure. So he's going to go. This Snake Eyes, as you probably know, Snake Eyes is usually black. This one here is blue and purple, which is based off of his look in the Sunbow cartoons. Now, that's kind of neat. It's nice to have a little bit of variety in my different Snake Eyeses, but this probably would not be Toy of the Year for me, except for the fact that I have to consider that he came with this polar bear figure, which is from a specific episode of the Sunbow cartoon. But this bear is huge. He's well articulated. It's a really cool accessory, if we want to call him that. That definitely elevates this Snake Eyes. So for that reason, Snake Eyes is going to stick around a little bit longer. This here is Venom or Venom. This is a Transformers Insecticon. I've been waiting a long time for this guy. This is the first time Hasbro has remade this guy since the 1985 original. And I think they did a great job with him. I know I've already sung the praises of this Psylocke, but I think I am going to let her go. It's a really nice figure. Again, a huge improvement over the last one. But it kind of comes down to just my attachment to the character a little bit. Like I said, I only bought this in order to get that Thanos over there. So, nice figure, but I'm going to let her go as well. So here we have a new version of X-23. I have two versions of her in my collection already, including one wearing this X-Force black and gray costume. Like Psylocke, this one is so much better than the previous one. Hasbro's making big strides with their Marvel Legends figures, but I think particularly with their female figures. They look so much better than they used to. So yeah, this is a really nice figure, but yeah, and I like X-23 a lot. I like her as a character more than I like Psylocke, to be honest, but I just, yeah, maybe it's because I already had her in my collection twice. But anyway, I'm going to let her go. Whoops, and there, down goes Slice. He's a G.I. Joe that I literally just got like 2 days ago, so I barely had any time to really fiddle around with this guy. He was in a 2-pack with Dice over here. Also very cool. Now, these guys are based on figures from the vintage line, but they came out kind of after I grew out of G.I. Joe, so I don't have a whole lot of nostalgic connection to these figures, but man, do they look cool. And they came with a ton of accessories. So they're going to stick around. This Captain America, he's really great. He came in a Capcom 2-pack, and yeah, you know what? I didn't think I needed this figure because I already had a really good Captain America in my collection. But man, this is a good one. Like, he just looks iconic. So I know I just eliminated X-23 because I already had her in my collection twice. Captain America I have in my collection a dozen times, but they've just really nailed it here. So I think he's going to stick around. This G.I. Joe diver, he's very cool. He had like alternate heads. He's got lots of alternate weapons, but he's basically the exact same as the Cobra Diver. They came in a 2-pack together, and I think if one of them was going to advance, it would be the Cobra Diver. I think the red and black looks a little more visually striking than the yellow and black. So I think I can eliminate the Diver. Now let's bring the Constructicons up front here and take a look at them. So this quarter brought us all 6 of the Constructicons. So we've got Scrapper and Hook and Bone Crusher, Mixmaster, Long Haul, and Scavenger. So I love the Constructicons. I had the original set when I was a kid, and they all combined to form Devastator. Um, it didn't really work so well in practice. Devastator often fell apart. So I usually played with the characters as individuals, and I had my favorites, and I just really liked these guys as a team. I liked how cohesive they are and their color scheme. When they released a new set of Constructicons, I think in 2016, I bought them all, and I have them displayed in my collection as Devastator, their combined form. Which is cool, but it's also kind of a bummer because then it means you don't have any of these individual characters in your collection. So when they announced a new version of the Constructicons was coming out, I was happy to buy them all again because now they can be displayed in my collection and I can still have a Devastator as well. Um, so yeah, here they are. So do they live up to my expectations? To be honest, not really. Like these are good figures, but I think they could have been better. I still feel like Hasbro wasn't putting enough effort into the unique characters because they figure most people will combine them together as Devastator. Now, if I was lumping these guys all together and combining them into Devastator, he may very well have made my best of the year list. But I'm going to assess each of these guys as individuals, and for that reason, I think they aren't going to fare so well. So, Scavenger, he's okay, but I don't like how he's purple, right up to the waist, and then all of a sudden he's green. It looks like he has weird purple footy pajamas on or something. I wish the color scheme was a little bit better with him. So he's gonna go. By the way, I apologize if you can hear my dog Casey barking in the background. She's out in the front yard going completely apeshit right now. Mixmaster I like. Bone Crusher, he's way too green. Like there's not enough, diversity in the color scheme here. Like you see, these guys have a good blend of gray and purple. He's just all green. Like these are supposed to be his treads in vehicle mode. I don't know why the treads aren't black or even purple or gray. It's way too much green. So he's gonna go. Hook, he's okay. I just always found Hook to be the most boring of all of these guys. So, and this doesn't really change my mind. So Hook, he's gonna go. So now we're down to the three that I liked the most when I was a kid. So Scrapper, who is like the leader of the team, and he looks pretty great. He doesn't blow my mind or anything, but he does what he needs to do. Long Haul. I wish I could say this guy looks beefy and tough, but I do think he just looks kind of chubby. Like he's just sort of so thick. And I wish they found a way to kind of make that come across as bulk and muscle rather than just kind of short and stocky. So I wish I liked that more. It's good, but it's not great. Mixmaster, he's cool. I just got him too, actually. He's the last one of these guys I needed. And I think he's one of the more interesting ones. I also really like his cement mixer mode. I thought he was kind of one of the funner vehicles to play with when I was a kid. Um, I don't think any of these guys really has what it takes to make my best of the year list. So I think I'm just gonna have to cut the Constructicons all together. Now let's shake things up and take a look at my three DC Multiverse figures. So yeah, McFarlane makes these figures, although he has lost the license. So 2025 is probably the last year that we're going to be getting DC figures from McFarlane. I liked a lot of the stuff he has done. These guys here are kind of a mixed bag. This is the Eradicator. Now, I bought an Eradicator figure in the second quarter, and that figure actually, I considered him in my review for the best of the second quarter. This was the very first figure I bought of the third quarter. He came just days into the third quarter. So this is a repaint of the other figure I've already considered. The other version was kind of the standard comic book colors. This guy is the clear, like the translucent chase figure. So he's cast in this translucent, sparkly blue. He's got like a translucent, sparkly cape. He looks like toothpaste to me. I think it's a cool figure. I like this guy a lot. That's why I bought him twice. But yeah, the regular version didn't make the cut, and this one is not going to either. A lot of the DC figures have cloth capes now, like you'll see on Batman. So to have this like kind of heavy plastic cape just seems a little dated now. So yeah, it's a cool figure. I'm glad I got him, but he can go. This here is Monarch. I don't even really know anything about this character. I've never read a comic book with him. So usually that would mean I wouldn't buy a figure like this. But when I saw this guy go up for pre-order, I thought, yeah, he looks cool. He looks like a big cosmic villain, sort of like Thanos over there. So I pre-ordered him. Now, when I went to the store to pick him up, I actually thought this figure looked kind of cheap. Just like the colors and the type of plastic they used. I was pretty underwhelmed, but I felt like I should honor my commitment of my pre-order. So I picked him up. But to be honest, this is probably my least favorite figure of this entire video. It just doesn't really do anything for me. And then we've got this Batman based on the first Tim Burton Batman with Michael Keaton. And I think they did a killer job on the likeness on this guy. I love the costume. I love the soft goods cape. I love all the accessories he came with. So I'm actually going to say this Batman is the first official lock of this video. So he is going to advance to the end of the video, and he will be considered in my very best of the year. I think it's a great figure. Happy to have him. All right, we've almost talked about everybody on the desk here. I've mentioned Thanos a couple of times. I love this character. He's long been one of my favorite characters. Way before he ever got introduced into the movies. I think this is a really cool figure. And I didn't think I needed another Thanos figure because the one I had previously was so great. But this Capcom version with the orange colors and that face sculpt, he just really impressed me. So I don't know if I'm ready to say he's a lock, but he's got a good chance of moving on. And this is Warpath in his X-Force costume. He came in a 2-pack with the X-23 figure that I eliminated. Like her, I think this is a really cool figure. It's an improvement over the previous version. I like the sculpt a lot. I like the paint job. He's big and he's bulky. I like the 2 knives that he carries. It's a cool figure. But I just don't have much of an attachment to this character. And yeah, I think that's all there is to say, really. It's cool. It's just not a toy of the year for me. So I think I can let him go. I got a couple of G.I. Joes here that I don't think we've discussed yet. This is another Snake Eyes, also in blue, which is a little different for Snake Eyes. This is based off the version 4 figure from the vintage line. I prefer version 1, 2, and even 3, because those are the ones that I had as a kid. But there's something about this look that's very cool. I do like it. And then we've got Blowtorch over here. Blowtorch is very cool. This was one of the vintage characters that I was highly anticipating in the classified line. I think they did a really good job with him. I think my only gripe about this guy, and I don't even know why it's a gripe, but the fact that his mask is black, I think that's more realistic. But the vintage one had yellow. I wish they had kind of given him a yellow mask. It kind of indicates to me that we're almost definitely going to get a retro version of this guy probably next year with like brighter colors that are more true to the vintage toy, and I think I will like that one better. So just knowing that there's a better version of this guy in the pipeline, I'm quite certain of it. Even though they did a really good job, he's got a really cool sculpt, he had cool accessories. I think I'm going to let him go. Okay, I need to speed things along here, so I'm going to assess all these Transformers and make a final decision. I'm going to go ahead and say Venom is a lock. He's just a very cool toy. There's a lot of new tooling in here. He's not just a repaint of another figure I already have. He's a highly anticipated character. He's been on my want list for years. So yeah, they did a good job with him. He's going to make it. The 3 Aerial Bots. So like the Constructicons, they've re-released the Aerial Bots this year. I had a previous version of them, but like with my Constructicons that I keep in my in Devastator mode, my previous Aerial Bots I have in their combined mode of Superion on my shelf, which is why I'm buying them again, so I can have the individual characters on my shelf along with Superion. And I think they're doing a good job with these guys. My biggest problem with them, I think, is they have a lot of like these wings and stuff on the back. There's a lot of they take up a lot of room because they have all this stuff on the back of them. And so on my shelf, they need a lot of clearance. So that does kind of annoy me. Of the three of these guys, they're all good figures. But I liked these two the most when I was a kid. So his look is cool, but I think Skydive here can go. And I don't know if there's enough unique about these guys. Of the two of them, I think Fireflight looks cooler. But this guy here, I have a special attachment to because he was actually missing from the previous set of aerial bots. They replaced him with a helicopter guy named Alpha Bravo. So I didn't have a version of him in my collection until now. These other aerial bots, I do have the previous version. So I was most excited to get Slingshot. Is he a toy of the year? I don't know. When you look at him, there's so many opportunities where they could have painted in some details here. There's just a lot of blank spaces. Like, I feel like he could have an Autobot logo somewhere on his chest. All that kibble on the back. He's pretty good about not having any hollow spaces, which is something that I don't like on my Transformers. I don't know. These guys are both cool. I'm gonna eliminate Fireflight. So maybe Slingshot. And of these two guys, I really liked Sea Spray as a kid. I didn't care as much about Brawn. They're both good. Brawn is gonna go, I think. Now I already put the retro card Gears ahead in a previous video. So now at the end of the year, would Sea Spray stand a chance against Gears? Can I see both of them on my list together? Probably not. I'm trying to get this list down here to about 15, by the way. So I still have a ways to go. I think I'm gonna go ahead and say both of these guys are gonna go. I'm gonna get rid of Sea Spray and Slingshot. It pains me to do it, but I gotta do it. Okay, so let's try and lock some more of these figures in. So I already locked in Venom, so we can put him back here with Batman. I'm gonna go ahead and say Thanos is a lock. Now I haven't talked about these Street Fighter figures at all. Jada Toys is making these Street Fighter figures, and they're doing an awesome job. So here we've got Blanka and Sagat. These are both like deluxe figures. They're larger characters, so they were larger than the normal Street Fighter figures. Blanka is one of my favorites from when I was a kid. I used to always use him when I played Street Fighter. Sagat, even though this is a great figure, he's just a character that I don't have as much attachment to. So it's really hard to eliminate any of these Jada toys because they're just so well done. But I'm going to go ahead and eliminate Sagat just based on my love or not love of the character. But Blanka, I'm going to say, is a lock as well. Now, I think these are the last of the G.I. Joes that I haven't talked about. So this is Monkey Wrench. He's one of the Dreadnoks. They did a really good job with him. Breaker. So this is Breaker version 2. And it's a big improvement over version 1, I think. I love the bubblegum there. I think there's a lot more detail in this version. I like the head sculpt better. Yeah, it's a really great figure. Heavy Duty, this guy just came out. I just got him the other day. I really haven't had time to play around with him much at all. He's got a lot of gear. It's ridiculous, actually, the size of his weapons kit here. And also this snake armor. So you could use this in your collection as a robot, which is what I always did when I was a kid. But he also opens up, and you can put a Cobra Trooper inside of him to pilot him, which is pretty cool too. So I don't know if I can do it with one hand, but yeah, I can't. But trust me, this top flips up. This flips down. There's a seat with a seat belt and little control handles and everything. It's very cool. This is brand new to me as well. I haven't had a whole lot of time to play with it. There is a little element of it feels a little cheap at times. Some of the plastic feels a little hollow, and like these things here, you might have just noticed me playing with. these bits here, they feel kind of like thin and like potentially breakable. Um, so yeah, I'm a little surprised at how cheap it feels, but I'm also so impressed with the size and the bulk. It's really cool. I loved the snake armor when I was a kid, and yeah, this guy is just huge. Like I happen to have the original 1983 set right here, so let me just grab it for a comparison. Like, just look at this thing. This is the toy that I loved as a kid. Very simple. And then this thing here, this is just a beast. They've added so much sculpted detail and everything to it. It's really cool. So even though it's not perfect, it's just so unique in my collection. It really stands out. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the snake armor is a lock, and I'm actually going to go ahead and say heavy duty is eliminated. I like the look of him and everything, but I don't like the big oversized kit. Um, I feel I have to display it with them because he cost extra money because of all the extra accessories, but it makes him difficult to display. It makes it difficult to play with him. And then if I get rid of the kit and just display him without it, then I feel like, well, I just wasted a bunch of money on stuff that's going in a bin. So yeah, I like G.I. Joes that can hold everything. Like Monkey Wrench here, he doesn't have absolutely every one of his accessories in hand, but like he can carry one axe, he can carry his gun, and then there's room on his like bandolier for his other axe. So like that's what I like. You can his pistol goes in there. He's probably got a knife on him somewhere too. But yeah, I like my G.I. Joes to be able to carry everything and still be fun to play with. Heavy duty is he's a little too much. Now I think the last figure on the desk that we haven't talked about is this big guy back here. This is Dragon Man. He is a Fantastic Four villain. He was produced by Hasbro. He was like a made-to-order figure, so not quite the crowdfunding that they do with their HasLab projects, but he was only available for a limited pre-order window, and he's not going to be available in stores. Now, who knows what the future holds? Maybe they'll release him again someday. But for now, you kind of had to order them like months ago because you can't get them anywhere now unless you pay, secondary market prices. But yeah, this is just a big, big figure. Like you can see compared to these other like 6-inch figures, like he's just enormous. And he's got good sculpting, good articulation. He had like alternate wings that were really big and like widespread flying wings, I guess. These are his folded wings. I display him with those just because the other wings are just too big and they take up too much room. But yeah, he's very cool. He's an awesome figure. And so even though I haven't really talked about him very much, I'm just going to go ahead and say that he's a lock. He's already in the back row there, so we'll just leave him there. All right, so we gotta make some tough decisions here with these other guys. Tank Girl, Monkey Wrench, Snake Eyes, Breaker. I'm gonna go ahead and say Frag Viper here is a lock. I never liked this guy when I was a kid because the old version was kind of weird looking, but I think they've really improved this figure. The helmet's always been cool, but like it's the body, the costume on the previous versions has never looked good. But yeah, this one really looks good. I like all the sculpted detail. Yeah, he's awesome. I love this figure. So, Frag Viper is a lock. Um, Slice and Dice, still thinking about it. And we haven't really talked about Law yet. So he is the MP for GI Joe. I had this guy as a kid. I liked him a lot. He comes with the dog Order, and he came with even the dog came with like an alternate head. Came with this vest. He came with like a hat. I didn't know dogs wore hats, but anyway, it's a really solid figure too. I like it a lot. Um, Snake Eyes with the polar bear, Madam Mask. Now this She-Hulk, it's tough because the She-Hulk, this is a repaint of a figure that came out last year. Here is the previous version. So it's the same figure from the neck down. It's just this time she has the Fantastic Four costume on. And this figure actually came with the exact same head as this one with the big hair, but it came with the secondary head with an optional ponytail. And usually when it's a figure that's just a re-release of a figure I already have, it doesn't have much of a chance. But I think the combination of the Fantastic Four costume and the ponytail head, which looks great, I love that little like smirk on her face. Um, yeah, I think this one's a lock for sure. I like it a lot. So we're gonna go ahead and say She-Hulk's a lock back there. Uh, Let me do a quick count. How many more figures do I need to eliminate here? Okay, so I've got 20 figures left. So 5 more need to go for me to get down to my top 15. Now that's not a super hard and fast rule. If I have 16 or 17 great figures here that I think should advance, then they will. But I try to keep it down to 15. So if I had to get rid of 5 of these, who would they be? I think I'm going to have to let Madame Mask go. Again, it's a great figure, and the fact that it's the first time she's been in my collection helps her out, but it's just not a character that I particularly love, and a lot of my decisions are based on like my personal investment, my nostalgia for a given character. So yeah, Madame Mask is going to go. This Snake Eyes, it would go, but I love that polar bear. The polar bear is great. The fireman, I'm going to go ahead and say he's a lock. He's just got so many cool parts. I haven't really talked about it, but he had alternate heads, so you could display him as an African American. He had a full breather mask on. He came with a fire blanket. Just so much cool stuff, and stuff that you don't normally see with your GI Joes. Um, I think I'm gonna cut Monkey Wrench. I like Monkey Wrench a lot, but he's probably like my 5th favorite Dreadnought. So yeah, he's cool. And I'm worried about his glasses. I actually think the glasses look okay, but the fact that they even come off at all has me worried that they're going to get lost. I wish they just gave us an alternate head with the glasses, because even though I just display my toys, I think about like, what if I wanted to play with these guys? Like I would definitely lose those glasses if I was actually playing around with my figure here. So it's really well done, great sculpt as you can see. But yeah, I think he's going to go. All right, so that's 2 down, so 3 more. And I'm going to go ahead and say Law and Order are a lock. They're not like blowing me away, but they're good. They're cool, and it's a character that I like. Um, Dice took a dive here. Now, even though I have less of an attachment to say Slice and Dice than I do Breaker. Breaker is a character that I've had in my collection many times. This is the second version in the classified line. This is Slice and Dice's first time in the 6-inch line, and I think these are the best versions of them ever. Like, they've really added a lot of detail to these guys that they didn't have previously. They've got so many accessories. They both have alternate heads, which are really cool. I'm going to go ahead and say Slice and Dice are both locks. So 3 more need to go if I want to get down to 15. I really don't think she's going to make my best of the year list, but I've been saying I've wanted this figure for 30 years. And to be honest, last year, a Funko Pop topped my best of the year list of all my action figures. That was a bit of a cheat, but that's because my wife bought me a custom set. You can go on Funko's website and they have a little program called Pop Yourself where you make a Funko Pop of yourself. And she made me a 2-pack of myself, her, and our cat and our dog. And so my wife, Vanessa, was my number 1 action figure last year. But obviously that was, you know, tainted a little bit by my undying love for her. That was maybe a little unfair to put her ahead of other figures. But Tank Girl sort of falls in that same category. I love Tank Girl so much, even though this is just a Funko Pop. I've been waiting so long for this, so that might give her the leg up. I'm going to say she's a lock. This Snake Eyes is cool. I do like him. I like it better than this Snake Eyes. But the polar bear is just really cool. And if I have one gripe about this guy, it's that he's kind of in the commando version of Snake Eyes. Same as this guy. So Snake Eyes sometimes dresses like a ninja, sometimes a commando. And when he's in commando mode, you expect to see him wearing kind of like combat boots. But this guy here, he's wearing little ninja booties where he's got those little toe separators and stuff. And I don't like that. It's a weird little complaint, but I think this figure would be better with combat boots on. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Snake Eyes version 4. Breaker, this is a great looking version of Breaker. This was the first G.I. Joe figure me and my brother ever had in our collections when we were kids. And he kind of reminded us of our dad because our dad had a brown beard and he was in the army. So I always have that sort of association with Breaker. It's just, even though I love the original G.I. Joes that were very basic, realistic, military looking guys, as far as action figures goes, it's hard for a guy like this to compete with guys like this that are just, they've got so much crazy stuff going on. I think I'm going to go ahead and eliminate Breaker. He's cool, but yeah, so he's going to go. So that leaves Captain America, Snake Eyes with the polar bear. And I might as well just say it. He's a lock. The polar bear, he's just so cool. He stands on his hind legs and he's so big. Like, just look at that. That's a cool figure. He's taller than Dragon Man, even. So, yeah, based on the polar bear, Snake Eyes in his Sunbow colors is going to advance. So I think I've done enough eliminations to get down to 15. But do these guys really deserve to go? With Captain America, I'm kind of wondering just because I have so many other Captain Americas, and did I really need another one? But a couple of years ago, I put a red and blue Spidey on my best of the year list, even though I have dozens of red and blue Spideys. It's just because Hasbro finally really nailed it and gave me what I consider to be the perfect one. This Captain America kind of falls in that same category. He just looks so good. Like, even though he's a character I have so many times, they just really, really nailed it here. So I'll say Captain America is a lock. And this Cobra Diver, like, we've actually got this figure so many times already because I already have Torpedo, who is basically the exact same figure. And then we got the Anniversary Diver, which was this figure in all black. The body is pretty much the same one we have with the Cobra Eels, which are the Cobra Frogmen. And now we got the 2-pack with the Joe and Cobra Diver. So it just feels a little bit been there, done that. But man, I can't argue with those colors. I just love those red and black. Like, I think it's the best looking of all the wetsuits that we've gotten so far. Will he make it to my best of the year? I don't know, but I think he's at very least one of the best of this quarter. So I think he's going to advance as well. So here we go. Here's my final list. And I actually just did a count and I realized I have 16 here rather than the 15 that I thought I got myself down to. But whatever. I'm going to let all these guys advance. And you could argue it's almost more like 18 figures because some of these are kind of paired up. So we have Law and Order. So they are lumped together as one figure. We've got the Cobra Snake Armor. Then we've got the G.I. Joe Anniversary Fireman. The G.I. Joe Frag Viper. Marvel Legends Captain America from the Capcom line. We've got Slice and Dice, both Cobra Ninjas from G.I. Joe Classified. We've got Jada Toys Blanca from Street Fighter. Marvel Legends She-Hulk. Marvel Legends Thanos, also from the Capcom line. Cobra Diver. Tank Girl Funko Pop. Venom, the Transformers Insecticon. We've got Batman from McFarlane's DC Multiverse. We've got Snake Eyes paired with his polar bear from G.I. Joe Classified. And lastly, we have Dragon Man from Marvel Legends. So yeah, those are my 16 favorites from the third quarter of 2025. Okay, so that was my best of the third quarter of 2025. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave me comments below. All that stuff is always appreciated. please stay tuned for my next video, which will probably be posted in a week or two. And if nothing else, be sure to come back at the end of the year where I will do a video for the best of the fourth quarter. And then I will take the figures that advanced from each of the previous 4 videos, and I will do my final best of the year elimination video with just using those figures that advanced from previous videos. So yeah, I will see you then. Thanks for watching.